Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live this morning, and hope you're having a great start to your day. You've had your vitamin C, your coffee. Okay, so I'll just wait for a few minutes here as people come on. Good morning, Sandy and Monique. How are you this morning? And Francis and Evangeline and Rosa, good morning to you. Jeanette, you miss me? Michael from Wawa, Mary Jane, Wendy, and John. Okay, John, our friend from Elgin, Illinois. Nellie, Joss, Marie, and Jeanette. Bonjour, Jeanette. And Marine, you guys are great. Big crowd already. Blanca, Linda, and Mark Anthony. Jerry, our friend from Nouveau Brunswick, and Christy from Labrador City. Wow, good to have you on. Leslie, Sandra, and Dubravka, and Nellie, and Kathy. You guys, Bonnie, bonjour, Yolande. Good to have you on. Nick is watching too, okay? So our staff is on. Guess what we're doing today? Teaching. Repetition. Francis, Elsie, Beverly, Susan from Florida, and Denise, Vicky, Lou Ella. You guys are great. Okay, now, the reason I'm doing this is this evening I'm speaking via, the days of doing seminars and all that in person. I wonder if that's ever going to come back, okay? Because I had actually planned on doing a book tour, and there'll be a big announcement about the new book in the next week, okay? Big announcement coming, okay? So, the Martin Clinic Reset. The diet your doctor won't share with you. That's the name of the book, and coming rapidly now to a theater near you. So we're looking forward to that. Now, but tonight I am speaking to the Registered Nurses Association of Ontario, and I'm going to do a little bit of teaching. It'll all be done on Zoom, because there's nothing live. I miss those live seminars. And like I said, I was planning a whole tour for my new book. But we just got to put that on hold, okay? Not the book, but the tour, okay? To do seminars. Anyway, but what I want to do this morning, and repetition, okay? Repetition is the glue. It's the glue that will cement this stuff in your brain. And I really want to emphasize this because it's so important. It is one of the most important things for you to understand about your health. And I come at it from maybe 500 different ways, but I want to give you the basics this morning in order just to cement this stuff in your mind, okay? So the illustration that I want to use is the good cop, bad cop, okay? Good cop, bad cop. We all know about that. You go in and they're, the police are interviewing, a suspected criminal or whatever, and, they often use that routine, the good cop, bad cop routine, right? Guy goes in and tries to soften the guy up, and the other one comes in and scares the living daylights out of them, right? Good cop, bad cop. We all understand that. I want to emphasize this morning the good cop, bad cop insulin. Every day, insulin saves your life. Okay? Every day, insulin saves your life. How does it do that? Well, it's very simple. You have to understand the premise that sugar in your bloodstream is highly toxic. You have to understand that. You know, people think, oh, I can't live without sugar. I need carbohydrates. Yeah, I want to tell you how bad sugar is for you. If you don't believe it, then empty out your 5 liters of blood, and you'll be lucky to have about a quarter to a half a teaspoon in 5 liters of blood. Your body does not need sugar. As a matter of fact, your pancreas secretes insulin, and insulin saves your life. It will take sugar, which is very toxic. Sugar cannot stay in your bloodstream. It's very simple. It must be taken out. And insulin is the good cop that says to sugar, come here, you cannot stay there. I must park you. You must come out of there. So you understand that now. So your body, every time you eat carbohydrates, are rapidly turned into sugar, and they cannot stay in your bloodstream. So you got that? Okay. So that's number one. That's the good cop. Okay? That's the good cop. Well, the job's not finished, so let me just bring you to step 2. And you guys know this, but I'm going to share it again. Let's follow a piece of bread. Oh, Dr. Martin, it's whole wheat. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's going to be sugar in 5 seconds. It cannot stay in the bloodstream. Insulin saves your life. It takes sugar from that piece of bread. Okay? It takes sugar from that piece of bread and says, come here. You cannot stay in the bloodstream. I must now park you. You're going to get parked somewhere. And there's 3 places. There's 3 places that sugar gets parked. 1, in your muscles. Okay? And this is why we love weightlifting. The bigger your muscles, even ladies, the bigger your bins, you have more storage room for sugar. Got it? That's what insulin's doing. Secondly, it will put it in your liver. So your liver is the Costco parking lot. Your liver is a suitcase. For what? To store sugar. Muscles, liver, and then thirdly, because you only have so much room in your muscles, you only have so much room in your liver, then your pancreas, insulin, creates fat cells to store what? Sugar. So, listen to me, this is so important. Weight gain is actually saving your life. Okay, let me say that again. Weight gain is actually saving your life. Because your sugar can't stay in your bloodstream. and it must be stored. And sugar gets stored as fat. So you gain weight. It's actually your body's protective mechanism. So far, everything that I've said is the good cop. It's the good cop. Even the weight gain is the good cop. Now I'm going to bring you the bad cop. The problem, and this is the scourge, and it's the #1 health issue in the whole wide world. It's the bad cop. Insulin is meant to have a part-time job, not a full-time job. But because of the amount of sugar that we eat, that we consume, insulin is way overworked. And it's creating havoc in our world. And why is that? Well, it's not only the weight gain, because, as you gain weight, of course, it's never a good thing unless you're skinny as a rake and you want to put some weight on. But for the vast majority of people, especially in our North American world, but it's coming to a theater all around the world, because people all around the world are adopting our diet. I talked to you a few weeks ago about the Chinese. Most of the stuff China exports, they export it to us, including the virus. Chinese are famous. China is famous for exporting, but one thing they are importing now is our diet. McDonald's. More than that, but seriously, their sugar uptake has gone up dramatically. And they're starting to suffer the same conditions as us. Okay, so you got the good cop, right? How your body operates. Sugar is so destructive it cannot stay in your bloodstream. So no amount of sugar is actually good for you. You don't need it. Okay? And especially in the world we live in today. Now, the bad cop is, and I'll start with the liver. Your liver, guys, you cannot live without. Your liver does 600 things. I remember in my first days of school, studying the liver. I couldn't get over it. I just said, holy moly. The liver, what an organ. I never, it never got much ink in the 1970s when I was in school. Unless somebody got cirrhosis of the liver. And that's all I understood. Before going to school, cirrhosis of the liver, I understood that. No, that's alcohol. People are alcoholics. They get cirrhosis of the liver. But I never understood what the liver did. It does 600 things. In order for you to be healthy, well, you could start with the pancreas, but let me tell you this. The most important organ in your body is your liver. And when that suitcase gets full of fat, remember, sugar stored as fat in the liver. And the biggest condition, we see it even in children today, is fatty liver. Imagine. And I've already talked to you about the horror of one kind of sugar called fructose, high fructose corn syrup, which is the modern day sugar today. Don't fool yourself. Almost every sugar, 99% of all sugars, the food industry, and they give them different names, but it's high fructose corn syrup, which makes a beeline to your liver. It's so stinking dangerous, you have no idea. But here's the bad cop. Liver gets full. You know what happens? Your liver sends out the extra fat. It has to empty it. It'll do everything it can to empty itself. What is it sent out as? When your liver sends out that sugar that was turned to fat to be stored in the liver, when the liver is full, what happens to it? It sends the fat into your bloodstream as triglycerides. Ooh, I get uptight when doctors don't talk about triglycerides. All they want to do is talk about cholesterol. They've been trained to be addicts to cholesterol. They got lied to in medical school. Sponsored by the big pharmaceutical companies who are trying to, I don't blame the pharmaceutical companies, they made drugs to lower cholesterol, LDL. But it's not science, guys. The number one killer today, here's the bad guy. The number one killer today, still number one, is heart disease and stroke. Heart disease and stroke start in the liver. Got it? It's not genetics. Oh, my dad had heart disease, therefore, nah. Well, look, it's a little bit, you know. I've always told you about genetics. See, written on my forehead here, diabetes. My dad, my grandfather, it's in our family, big time. But you can override that. You override your genetics. That's what I tell people every day. Yeah, you might have weaknesses. Fix them. Override them. Okay, so heart disease is caused by high triglycerides. 3 fat balls made from sugar. Your cop, your good cop, all he was doing was getting sugar out of the bloodstream. So temporarily, he saved your life. Insulin saved your life. It does it every time you eat carbs, crappy carbs and sugars. Isn't your body unbelievable? Fearfully and wonderfully made. I always tell my doctor friends, if you don't believe in God when you study the human body, I don't know, there's no hope for you. I mean it. It's unbelievable what your liver does. Anyway, don't want to get caught up in there. Just to tell you this. Heart disease is a disease of triglycerides, not cholesterol. As a matter of fact, the higher your good cholesterol is, that's how you get bad triglycerides out of your body. By your HDL, your good cholesterol. And that's why I'm interested in those two things. Now, let me bring you, okay, so now you understand that. Okay? So that's just, sort of a 101 study on insulin. Good cop, bad cop. But here, let me share something else. This is very important to understand this. Because we only talked about heart disease, but I want to talk to you about all the other big killers now. Insulin. When it is working all the time, because of the modern day diet, up to 200 pounds, the average North American consumes of sugar a year. It's really over that. But let's say 200 pounds. A dump truck full of sugar, a dump truck, pours it into your body a year. And people, oh, Doc, I don't eat that much sugar. Yes, you do. Oh, I got up this morning and I had my oatmeal because I got to have oatmeal otherwise I don't go number 2. Well, you just spiked your sugar, even with steel cuts. Cut oatmeal to over 20. Rapidly. It turns to sugar in 5 seconds. Your oatmeal. Insulin. It has to go crazy. Out, 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 out into the liver, muscles, liver. Fat cells. I'm going to create more. So you don't have oatmeal in the morning. All you're doing is making yourself fat and sick. Don't worry about going for a poo. I get too excited. Okay, but the problem with insulin is not only that it's saving your life, that's a good thing. But when it works too hard, weight gain, but big, is it creates inflammation. You see, when your cells, every cell in your body, it gets tired of seeing insulin coming around all the time. And it gets mad. Like, it's like a bad neighbor that's always coming to your house. The first times I'll say, oh, it's all right. Nice to meet you. And then after a while, you're making me sick. That's what happens with your cells and insulin. But when that happens, you create a very silent, with almost no symptoms, you create a response in your body, and it's called inflammation. Now, if you kick me in the knee, I'm going to have inflammation in my knee. That's normal, because it's your body's ambulance system. The problem with inflammation is if it sticks around too long, it actually damages your blood vessels and your cells. In heart disease, you get a double whammo. Your triglycerides are up and your damage to your little Teflon layer in your blood vessels because of inflammation. See, inflammation was not meant to be there for a long period of time. And it can be very silent. And doctors, again, they're usually not trained even to think of inflammation. Unless you have rheumatoid arthritis or something like that, they won't even do a CRP test, C-reactive protein, to see your levels of inflammation. They're very dangerous to your blood vessels and your cells and your nerves. What do you think happens in diabetic retinopathy and all this? The blood vessels and the eyes. And why do diabetics have trouble? You see, it's insulin run amok. Insulin equals inflammation. Inflammation destroys blood vessels. Guys, let me give you an example of inflammation. You know what people, when they get, let's say, really get COVID bad, they go into the ICU, they're so bad, right? What's killing them? It's the inflammation in their lungs. They have what we call a cytokine storm. The body is overreacting to the virus. Now, guys, let me just develop this for a second. Let me bring you the link between all the major killers today. And I want to prove to you that 99.9% is food. We already talked about heart disease. Now let's talk about cancer. Inflammation damages cells. But, and you guys know this, sugar feeds cancer. If you don't believe that, go get a PET scan. The only way a PET scan works, a PET scan is not for your pets. A PET scan is even better than an MRI to detect cancer. They give you a cup of radioactive sugar, glucose, and you light up like a Christmas tree if you have cancer. So now you have heart disease, you have cancer, the two biggest killers in society today. Two biggest. They're not getting better, they're getting worse. There's more cancer today than ever before. There's more heart disease today than ever before in spite of all the money we're spending. Because we're not looking at food. We're spending all our money to get drugs to try and save people's lives. I'm not against that. But you're not getting to the cause. Alzheimer's, the number 3 killer in North America. Number 3. The number 1 cause of Alzheimer's is sugar. It's insulin, the bad cop. Good cop, bad cop. Alzheimer's is called type 3 diabetes. And of course, the number 4 on the hit parade is diabetes itself. You see, the problem with the good cop, insulin is so effective on taking sugar out of your bloodstream that people, the last thing to happen in your body, remember what the first thing is. The first thing is the liver. It gets full. You get triglycerides. You're creating fat cells. You're creating inflammation. And even fat cells create even more inflammation. But diabetes is the last thing that happens. Not the first, the last. Your body is so unbelievably smart that your body, the last thing that happens is you got extra sugar in your bloodstream and the doctor goes, oh, Susie, now you're a diabetic. Oh, gee, how did that happen? It took years. Most kids are already diabetic. They just don't know it. Because their insulin is storing, it's doing its job. But they're already effectively a diabetic because they got a bad relationship with carbs and sugars. And so do you. Don't fool yourself. If you're a crappy eater, you might think, oh, I'm not a diabetic. You know how many people told me to my face? In my practice days, they said, I'm not a diabetic. I said, yes, you are. You're a carbaholic. That means you're a diabetic. You just don't know it yet. You're on the Titanic. And for most of them, they'd already hit the iceberg. I said, you better get in that lifeboat real quick. But all the major killers, even autoimmune, a lot of it is food. So you just got Nutrition 101. You just got Physiology 101. And you know what's surprising? I just say this in closing. What is surprising to me? I'm not that surprised. But what I'm astonished with still is how medicine in general, there's always exceptions, haven't connected the dots yet. They haven't connected the dots. They're still into treating, oh, you're diabetic, let's give you meds. I'm going to give you something artificial that'll take sugar, because your insulin's not working the way it should, so let's give you artificial medication, like metformin or other things, like even insulin. I got no problem. I understand that. They're just trying to save people's lives. The problem is they're not fixing it. Because they don't connect the dots. That's where we're at today in our healthcare system. It's not healthcare at all, it's disease care. And I don't care what other problem there is. They've made a huge, huge thing about COVID. The virus. It's in everything. People are wearing masks and everything. But at the end of the day, the vaccine is not going to save us unless we change our diets. Unless we change our diets. So that's where I come from, guys. Remember, repetition is the glue. It's glue that's going to cement that in your thinking. And I want you to understand it so that you can share it with others. That's my motivation. That's my motivation, is to educate you so that you, well, first of all, you take it and apply it to your own life, and then as much as you can influence other people's lives, then try and do it. Because we got the whole world upside down today. Medicine has been in the business of keeping people ignorant so that they rely on their physician exclusively, which is a big mistake. Anyway, okay. Now, for my American friends, tomorrow is Thanksgiving. But we're going to do a show tomorrow. Okay? Lord willing, we do a show tomorrow. So, will it be about turkeys? Probably not. Okay? So, because some people were asking me if we're going to be on tomorrow. Okay? You know, my plan is to bring another session tomorrow. Okay. Now, share this with your friends. Share this with your family. The more you share on Facebook, the better it is. That's what Facebook looks for, views. And then the more views, they share it. Even Facebook shares it. Because they found it, oh, this is interesting. A lot of people liked it. And therefore, we're going to share it more. That's how it happens. And then, if any of your friends or family are not part of our Martin Clinic private Facebook group, please get them to join. It's a great place with lots of good information and lots of interaction between our family members. Okay? We appreciate that. Okay. And remember, Friday is question and answer Friday. Okay? That'll be Black Friday. Okay. So, hope you're having a great day. Share this, and God bless you. We talk to you soon.